Hello, and welcome to Ruth Reacts to Books. I'm your host, Ruxie, Ruth McGouth, and today I'm reacting to my friend Arbor Sloane's book, Not Who You Think. It's kind of a more creepy book, so I got some of my creepy paraphernalia back here for you. This is a thriller that recently came out by Arbor Sloane. So I'm going to read you the inside cover of the book. I will tell you what I rated it, what I liked, what I didn't like, the food that I've got for you and why I picked that, and then why I have these nails on and how that relates to the book. Let's get started. The copycat of a killer made famous by a true crime author kidnaps a classmate of the author's daughter in this twisty thriller, perfect for fans of Paula Hawkins. Amelia Child has devoted her life to researching Gerald Shapiro, the catfish killer, a man who pretended to be other people online to gain women's trust before meeting and killing them. Her book on the catfish killer, Into the Glass, earned wild success and a legion of true crime fans. Years later, Amelia is pulled back into the case when a girl from her daughter's high school disappears, and all signs point to a copycat killer mimicking the catfish killer's every move. As Amelia meets with the detective who helped her study Gerald Shapiro years ago, and they become suspicious of Shapiro's son, Amelia's daughter, Gabby, receives a letter from the kidnapper threatening that she might be next. Desperate to find the culprit before her classmate is killed or she becomes the latest victim, Gabby conducts her own search for the missing girl. With Amelia's own family at risk and the entire true crime world obsessing and investigating online, the stakes have never been higher. Everyone wants to find the killer, but when his modus operandi is to pretend to be someone else, he's not going to be easy to catch. Dun dun dun! Well, I gave this book 5 stars, and while I might be slightly biased because I do know the author, which is amazing, I still think that it is a 5-star book. And so what I liked about the book, I definitely felt like it was absolutely like watching an episode of Law & Order SVU or Criminal Minds, both of which shows that I really like. I think this absolutely could be turned into one of those shows or turned into a movie. So it was really exciting completely throughout it. You were kind of on the edge of your seat. Towards the end, like, I don't give spoilers, don't worry. I did myself figure out like towards the end like who it was, which I enjoyed because it was like far enough along that it was like right towards the end. So I think she almost intended for us to figure out who it was right towards the end. But I didn't quite figure out why that person was. So there was like still stuff that like twists that we were figuring out that the book got to explain to us. It kept me on the edge of my seat. Like, as any great thriller, it gave me trust issues throughout. I was like, oh my God, is it that person? Is it that person? Oh my gosh, I didn't know who to trust. And I was completely like suspicious of everybody. So that was great. There really wasn't anything I didn't like about the book. I think normally I wouldn't have picked a book like this. Like, even though I do like murder mysteries, I feel like I think the most others like murder mysteries that are really graphically, I mean, and this wasn't super graphic, but it was like, there is like, they talk about rape and murder like pretty intensely at times. And so I think my Eve Dallas books by J.D. Robb are the other books that kind of do that. But most of the time I usually don't dive into like thrillers so much. So I was really grateful that I got to read a book that I really enjoyed in that genre, because normally I wouldn't pick one of those up. So I like it when something kind of kicks me into something I normally wouldn't do, just because it gets me out of like the same old thing that I'm always doing. So I appreciated that. Weirdly for me, like, obviously I know this author, and so some of the names in the book, like the main character's name is the same as someone in my family, so that was super weird but cool, but also like, oh my gosh, I couldn't help but picture that person. And then of a random happenstance, the other main character also is not named after because it's spelled differently, but happened to be the name of another close friend of mine from college. So that was also interesting to have like 2 people that are very close to my life whose names were like the main characters in this book. So couldn't help but thinking about those people throughout this book. It also takes place very close to home, in the Midwest where I happen to reside. So that was also super interesting to be like thinking about that as I was reading through this book and some of the places that things were taking place. So that was interesting and odd and weird for me personally, which wouldn't necessarily be for everyone else, but for me it was interesting and cool and hasn't happened to me before, but enjoyed it thoroughly. Highly recommend. Get it. It's also available on Audible for those of you who are audiophiles and like to listen to your books. So find it, check it out, do it. Highly recommend. For the food for this book, I've got, so I was thinking in the book, the main character, leans into this connection she has with that former serial killer and is, kind of reminiscent of, Clarice from, going to visit Hannibal Lecter and trying to get his help from that story, Silence of the Lambs. And so I was kind of thinking of, for some reason, this came to mind, the evil potato. I know my niece Lexi will appreciate that. The evil potato. And so I was thinking, when you visit someone, in this story, they talked about that story of, Into the Glass, which was the story that the author had originally written. Not this author, but the story is about an author who has written a book, and it talked about it in the cover. So I'm not telling you anything you don't know. And so, in this, she had interviewed this serial killer about his killings, and he's behind bars in this book. And then she's going back to interview him again. So I thought about him being the evil potato, and she's going back to talk to him again. And so that's how I got to a recipe for a twice-baked evil potato, but twice baked potato. So I got a twice baked potato recipe for you this week, in the comments of the YouTube show and in the Facebook comments. And then for my nails, you can see I've got cherry sizzle. And then over a top coat, I have between the lines. So we've got black and red, and this goes with, in the book is described that the cover of the book Into the Glass is a black and red cover. So even this book's cover is not black and red. It has some red on it, but in the book it describes that the author Amelia is looking at her cover of her book, and it is black and red of Into the Glass. And so that is why I have black and red nails for you this week. And that's how I have connected my nails with this amazing book. So check it out. Hope you've all had a good week. Stay strong out there. Stay together. Stay united. Stay alive. Love you all. Talk to you next week. Bye.